So we've got Natalie Blais, who is a parenting strategist. She knows all about social media and how to talk to your kids about it. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning.
So how do you start that conversation with your kids? We're a lot of parents waking up, they're seeing this in the news, they're hearing us talk about it. How do they, make sure their kids are protected when it comes to sexting?
A good way to start that conversation with your kids is to say, I saw this story on the news or I read this article, and ask your kids, what do you think about that? Have they heard about it? Is it something that their friends and their peers are talking about? Because chances are kids know long before we know what's going on when it comes to these types of scandals, because they're in the middle of them.
Yeah. Now, you have like certain golden rules, I guess, that kids should be taught about social media and things like sexting?
Definitely. The things that kids need to remember is, number one, the Internet is forever. It doesn't matter how stringent your security settings are on your cell phone, on your Facebook page, or your password protection. The reality is everything is there and it's saved somewhere on the Internet. People can take screenshots, people can pass information on like lightning. And what kids don't realize is that follows them along in life. Employers, universities, they're no longer asking for references. They're simply getting online and doing a Google search on our kids. And is the first thing your kids want to see show up when it comes to who they are as a digital citizen, a compromising photo. And we need to remind our kids that this is something that will follow them forever.
Yeah, one of the tips that I like that you have is to picture your grandma when you're sending a text, because chances are pretty high that your grandma's probably going to one day at least see it, because everything winds up being public, right?
Exactly. And if you wouldn't freely hand your phone over to grandma or grandpa or your school principal to flip through your photos as they see fit, chances are it's a really bad idea to take that photo.
Yeah. Now, I mean, kids, though, and look, I was a kid, I was a teenager. You don't really think about these consequences. Like, the last thing I thought about when I was in high school was, what a future employer was going to think, or, you just kind of like living in the moment. So what would be like the one, big tip for parents to try to, to drive that home to your kids and to, get them to understand that, because I think even these kids that are caught up in this scandal, a lot of them don't realize how serious it is.
And I don't think they care about the consequences right now. That's the thing. How do you get them to, you could say, well, in the future, this could come back and haunt you. And I think, if you're 15 or 16, you're like, whatever, so what? How do you make them realize that really is important?
We really need to foster a sense of empathy in our kids and get them to anchor back to the feeling. If they're ones that were sharing it and not necessarily who the photo was taken of, to remember that if it was you, how would you feel? If it was your photo that was being shared, if it was you that was being laughed at and called names and all of those things in the hallway of your school, how would you feel? And when we can get kids sort of in touch with that emotional side of their behavior, it's so much easier to help them make better decisions and to get them to start using those critical thinking skills that we want them to develop moving into adulthood.
Well, it's great advice, and I know you have a website. It's called apassionateparent.com. And
That's correct.
You have a book coming out as well, right?
I do. I have a book coming out in September. It's called The Kid Concept, Raising a Child with Kindness, Integrity, and Dignity. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be up on Amazon.com. And I actually have a download, a sheet that your listeners can go online and download it and create that conversation with parents, with their kids, sorry. It's apassionateparent.com/thetalk.
All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to put all that information up at WPDH.com with some of these golden rules that you have as well to, hopefully spark that conversation with kids and get through, like you said, the whole idea of, these things are permanent. So, yeah. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Natalie. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
All right, yeah, you too.